It's Scott Felstead talking with Adam Maxted. And listen, I can tell that you're very busy at the moment. Are you training hard for these World of Sport shows that are coming up?
I am. We've got the comeback coming up on September the 14th. So, the pressure's on to, I always pride myself as a wrestler trying to look like an action man, obviously trying to look in shape. For me, it's really important that when I walk out through that curtain, I turn heads and people think, okay, this guy, who's that guy? Do you know what I mean? So obviously I've stepped up my training, stepped up my cardio because I know that it's a real important opportunity for us to do the world of sport again and really see if we can make something, lasting happen this time. We got very close before. And I think it's coming at a really good time. Wrestling, the industry's booming again. We're obviously past COVID where people can come and enjoy live entertainment again. And I think there's never been a better time to be involved in the pro wrestling industry as a wrestler, but also as a fan. There's, so much. You've got AEW, you've got WWE, you've got, Japan, obviously, New Japan and things. But I think the WOS brand, there's a gap in the market for it, for a family entertainment show. You look at Gladiators, it just came back and the numbers it was doing. And I really feel like the demographic, kids and families sitting down, watching WS, it's a really good product for it. So, this is the thing that for me, wrestling fans, some people want to speak negatively about it. And it's like, if you're truly a fan of something, then why would you be trying to speak badly about it? Do you know what I mean? It's providing jobs and an income for the wrestlers, for the boys and girls that have been grinding for years. It's giving them that platform. And it's just a different product for a different type of wrestling fan to sit and enjoy. So it might not be your thing, but don't tarnish it. Don't try and get rid of it. Don't try and put it down. Do you know what I mean? I might not like a particular TV show, but I'm not going to get on the internet and start going, oh, don't watch that TV show. I didn't enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? It's just your opinion. And what's good about wrestling is there's so much variety out there. Like, just go and watch what you enjoy and let us focus on this. And I think we really have a good opportunity again this time to really make something happen. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an exciting time. You make some really good points there. In terms of there being lots of choice with wrestling, you're absolutely right. And that's a good thing. And if anybody is a pro wrestling fan, then they're going to want that choice and they're going to want wrestlers to have places to work. And that's what keeps the industry fresh and healthy. So absolutely. In terms of like being an action man, I mean, many people will know if they do a search on you and that kind of thing, they'll know you from Love Island. What people might not know is your relationship with wrestling before Love Island. So were you a fan of wrestling before Love Island? Were you training before then, or did you come out and train afterwards? How did that all work for you?
So this is again like where I really struggle with sort of getting wrestling fans on side or them taking to me, because I was wrestling before I did Love Island the first time, which was like 8 years ago. I was, I hadn't really broken into the UK. I'd never wrestled in England. I was starting to make a little bit of a name in Ireland. And the opportunity to Love Island came up. And I actually said to my wrestling coach at the time, Joe Cabray, who runs OTT, I sent him the Love Island email. I said, is this a good idea? And he said, it could really get your name out there, which obviously it did. But to the wrestling fans, they just thought, oh, who's this guy from TV show coming in here thinking he can walk into our world? And I think I just wasn't really given not respect, but I just wasn't really given a fair chance. Like, from wrestling fans, straight away they just shut me down. They went, no, this guy's just a reality TV star. And don't get me wrong, I was still really green back then, and I had a lot of learning, a lot of reps to get in, but it gave me the platform that I was wanting. Do you know what I mean? So anyone in my position, I believe, would have done the exact same thing. I always say, like, 99% of wrestlers, if you weren't really getting your name out there and you were looking for a big opportunity, you would have done the same thing that I did to get my name out there. And obviously, look, 8 years on, I've still been wrestling full time. I'm still in the industry. I'm busier than ever at the moment. So I've stuck at it. And there was times when I probably, a weaker man could have looked and thought, you know what, the industry doesn't like me or the fans don't like me. Maybe this isn't for me. But I almost use that as motivation and inspiration to, stay in shape, keep training harder, knuckle in, keep wrestling. And I've just gone from strength to strength to strength. So for me, I'm also excited to get this opportunity again, because I know I'm a much more seasoned and better performer than I was, in 2018 when we did the last WS. I've had like 3 or 4 more years now. I've continued grafting wrestling, and I feel more confident than ever. So I'm looking forward to kind of, not like I'm going in with a chip on my shoulder, but I feel like people are going to see me and go, oh, okay, he's stepped up again. We can see why he's back again. Do you know what I mean? And I'll always have the Love Island thing over me. I get that, but I did it again this year, Love Island. So I had the opportunity. I could have said no, I don't want to do it again, because but I knew I could use it this time, because any negativity, I use it as motivation to keep getting better.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and you're 100% right to say that anybody else would have taken up that offer as well, because as you know, being a pro wrestler, particularly in the UK where we do fight for exposure, being a pro wrestler is about building up your name and getting exposure. So anyone that blames you for that, now what people might have thought is, oh, he's going to come out, he's going to try and use that fame, wrestle for a couple of months, find it a bit too tough, and go into something else. And that's where you prove people wrong because, you, like you say, for several years you've been out there, holiday camps, you've done the big shows with the big crowds, but you've done those difficult shows, the long miles, a little payoff, I guess. Love Island might be glamorous at times, but pro wrestling certainly isn't glamorous all of the time. So
So yeah,
you've
sorry.
definitely, yeah,
So
you've definitely earned respect.
I'm back at the moment on a Thursday night at the moment, wrestling in a little tent in Lincoln in front of about 200 people, and no one knows about it, like you say, but the crowd's amazing, and these are the reps again that I am staying on top of weekly to make sure I'm ready for these big opportunities. Then, do you know what I mean? So again, people don't see that. People don't see all the little shows. They just see when you finally make it to a big industry or a big company or a big promotion. But it's all these little shows that I'm back doing again at the moment. I go on a Thursday night, I come back on Friday morning, then I work my day job PTing. Then Saturday, Sunday, I'm back at Butlins. Now I don't get back until like 3 a.m. on a early Tuesday morning. I had 3 hours sleep this week, straight into work. And like people don't see that, but because I love wrestling and I love it, I'm happy to do that. And I also know that, like I say, these are the little shows that are going to prepare me for the big events. So like you say, no one sees what I'm doing on these tiny little camps, but these are what then help you be ready for the big opportunities that we have coming up again in September. So
Yeah.
it's it's not the most glamorous. Again, you're stuck in a car. You've been there, but you get that opportunity and then go out and perform, and hopefully it'll all pay off one day when you do eventually make it to the big stages.
Yeah. And as you say, it's not about what you do in the ring or on camera. It's what you do away from the camera and away from the ring. You talked about being in shape. Obviously, that's something that's very close to your heart. It's not necessarily something that all up and coming wrestlers get to grips with. I mean, when did you first fall in love with fitness?
So for me, like I got bullied a lot growing up. I've said in a few interviews before, I remember I got beat up by these two guys one night and I didn't even try and fight back. And I just remember feeling like defenseless and going, okay, I don't want to feel that vulnerable again. So from the next day, I was in the gym, I was training. I was like 16, 17 at the time. My mom was a personal trainer as well, and she still is. So I've always been in a fitness environment, but that was the real eye opener for me, where I was like, okay, if I want to not feel the way I felt again, insecure or vulnerable, I should probably start going to the gym. And then obviously you start making progress. I fell in love with it, saw my physique developing, saw that as I got bigger and bigger, people started taking me more seriously. They stopped messing with me as much. So it's almost like a shield of armor, like being a bigger guy, because like unless people have had a few drinks, people will think twice about messing with you if you're a bigger person or a bigger, if you're in shape. And it's also like the respect thing as well. Like when I see a guy in shape, I go, okay, that guy has qualities and he has a standard that he holds himself to. Do you know what I mean? Discipline, motivation, like not giving into the easy things, instant gratification. Because getting in shape, you got to have delayed gratification. You're not going to see progress for a while. And obviously, to build muscle, it takes years. So my physique's just gone from strength to strength and I've developed, but it's taken 12 years of consistent training. But I also knew that if I wanted to be a pro wrestler and I wanted to be taken seriously, that I should be in shape. I didn't start my wrestling training until a couple of years after, when I probably could have, because I wanted to walk in that first day and people go, okay, who's this guy? This guy's got something about him. Look at his shape. Look at how he stands out. And obviously people have always kind of spoken about my physique and it being probably one of the best, especially in UK wrestling. So that's another thing that I really take pride in. And don't get me wrong, I'm only human. There's days where I'm not as motivated as ever, or I'm going through different times in my life where I might not be feeling as on point, do you know what I mean? But it's just holding yourself that standard, accountability, and knowing that, I'm going to be back on my spandex pants pretty much every week. And I've set myself a standard that I want to hold myself to. And it's about me to show up as that, every single week. And that's what kind of that keeps me going.
Yeah. That's such an important point, because going back to Love Island, there aren't that many wrestlers at an independent level who could walk onto Love Island like you did. So in terms of would people go on it, a lot of people wouldn't have even had the
I mean,
possibility.
the face helps as well slightly. I'm not the worst looking guy in the world, but
That's right, but I don't see too many people with
no.
love handles on Love Island, But you have got the package. But I mean, 6'3". I think you've said, on Instagram posts that you were a hard gainer and that kind of thing. So that gives you even more of a challenge in terms of putting on muscle. How did you go about that? Did you make mistakes along the way? I'm just interested, not in the long journey of it, but in terms of what works for you in the end, because there'll be a lot of people looking, going, "Oh, that's okay. He builds muscle really easy, but I don't."
Yeah, I think it's just like I was really skinny. So there was a time when I was younger that I was really trying to stay lean as well. And I was like, oh, I've got a six pack. And so I probably wasn't eating enough. to get those calories in to build that muscle. And I think it's as I got a little bit older, I realized that, okay, I've got a fast metabolism. So luckily I can kind of get away with eating what I want within reason. I always tried to eat good food, good quality protein, but I didn't overly worry about the carbs and things that I was taking in because I knew I needed to get those calories in. And look, I always hold my hands up. I have taken stuff a couple of times to kind of see what it did for me, and it didn't really do. I took stuff when I was like 19 because my friends were on it, and they made good. To me, they were big back then. When I look back, they were just bloated and full of water weight, and they didn't look good. But when I was a younger kid, I thought, oh, my mates are big. They're taking stuff. I need to as well. So there was that peer pressure. But I did a podcast on it recently again of like, you can take stuff, but you still need to train your ass off. You still need to make sure your nutrition's on point, your recovery. So I think again in this generation, everyone's looking for the instant gratification and the quick fix, and they go to the gym for a few months. They don't see much progress, and they go, oh, okay, well the only way I'm ever going to make progress is if I take stuff. And it's like, no, you need to give yourself time. You need to do the hard work. You need to let your body adapt. And as you know as well, it's muscle maturity. You build that good muscle over years of consistent training. You're not going to have the same physique in your early 20s as when you're in your late 20s, your early 30s. You're going to start, if you stay consistent, developing a really good, dense, good physique. So this is stuff that I've just learned over the years. And, I'm not on anything now. And I'd say I'm probably looking my, possibly my best, and it's from training legs as well. You've got to train legs. So many people want to skip leg day, but you learn more as well for a hard leg session about life as well. Like if you can push yourself to, develop a good set of legs because it's tough, that's going to translate in normal life as well. When times get hard, it transfers over because I think the world is getting a little bit softer. People are looking for the excuses, someone to blame, the pity party. And it's like, at the end of the day, for me personally, as a man, you have to look yourself in the mirror and go, have I done everything I could today to get a step better? And it's not about huge leaps, it's just about 1% better every day, because eventually that's all going to pile up and you'll make good progress. So I don't think I made many mistakes in terms of training when I was younger. Not training legs was probably the main one. No, I love training legs, but just staying consistent and knowing that it is a long game, and just if you want it, you'll you're in it for the long game, and if you want it, you'll show up. Like for me, the gym is, it might sound sad, the gym is my favorite part of the day, because not only am I improving myself, but the feeling you get after it, those endorphins, that positive. And I think anyone just needs to get in, get a good program, and once they start seeing progress, it becomes addictive then.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And particularly what you're saying about the gym being the favorite part of your day. I work behind a desk and a computer most of the time, and just being able to walk around and just use the body. Sylvester Stallone recently did an Instagram post where he said that, the human body wasn't supposed to have a suitcase with wheels and escalators. And you say about going soft, and we all need that kind of thing from time to time. But he makes a really good point in that we are supposed to push ourselves and we are supposed to exercise. It's important to get out there and do. And I know you look after a lot of clients and you motivate them in that way. In terms of back to wrestling, I mean, what a lot of people around the world probably hear about is that British wrestling is different to other styles of wrestling, and that maybe hear about the big strong boys and that kind of thing that get talked about. But from your point of view, how would you describe learning British wrestling to how it may have differed to other styles around the world?
Um, I mean, I think more recently it has gone kind of mainstream style American. There's obviously the sort of catch style wrestling that William Regal and all those sort of people would have done, is probably what got eyes on the product initially. And obviously the old school world of sport, it was so popular. People watched that so much back in the day. Do you know what I mean? But I think Japan is a different style to the UK, I would say. But you'll see people, if that's again, it comes back to what your preference is, what you like. Fans will like a certain type of wrestling, and someone that's a wrestler will adopt a certain style that they like. So I think Japan's, it's a lot more about the striking and the kind of almost like the no selling. It's kind of like keep hitting me, and then I take off, and then do you know what I mean? Whereas I think the British style is a bit more athletic, and it's also just a bit more, they're bringing in that entertainment side as well, like obviously as it is in America, like WWE and AEW and stuff. But even AEW, it's more spot fetty than like WWE would be now. But in terms of the style, I mean, I'll be honest, I was never really like a technical wrestler. I find it really impressive, but I've just been more like power and athleticism, because that's what suits me and my frame and my size. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. And I suppose what I'd add to it is that there's always been, or we've got Big Daddy and things like that, but
Yeah.
there's always been an air of believability about British wrestling where the holds may be a bit snugger, and like you say, the chain wrestling's maybe a bit more detailed and maybe looks a bit more skillful. So I
Yeah.
suppose people will be looking for some of that, and as you say, there'll be all kinds of different wrestlers on WOS. I mean, do you know who your opponent is yet? Do you know what's coming up?
Well, I've had a match announced, so I will be tagging with Eddie Ryan against Niwa and Martin Kirby. So that is it's a tag match that's announced. I'm not sure, I believe we have two shows, so I'm not sure what my second match would be. But I've been in the ring with both guys, both phenomenal talents. So it's going to be a difficult match. I've wrestled Eddie Ryan as well, so it'll be cool to team with him. But I actually had a match recently with Niwa, and he's a big guy and he hits hard. So it's gonna be a physical one. But like I say, all this training in the gym, then like I say, prepares you for the hits that you're going to take in the ring, because it's as you know, wrestling it's physical. This is another thing, I don't think, unless people are in the industry or really love it, it doesn't get the respect it deserves. People kind of go, oh, you do that panto stuff and it's like, you get in the ring and try and take one back bump even, and really see how quickly it takes your breath away. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I believe it really is one of the hardest art forms to master and do well. And I think more respect needs to be put on it. And also, back wrestling buttons at the moment, you see just the excitement and the reactions from kids and families and what that does. And there's very few forms of entertainment, live entertainment, that can do that. And that's why I'm just really proud to, when I finish a buttons match, I see the kids. Sometimes kids are crying if I lose my first match, and then I come back at the end of the show and I end up winning the main event. So to be able to take people on that emotional journey is what is so cool about it as well, and suspending people's belief. And like I said, when I walk through that curtain, if I've had a bad day or someone's gone in my life, nothing else matters when I'm out in front of that crowd. It's about locking in, it's about performing, it's about entertaining that crowd. And that's what I also love about it as well. And I think a lot of people would agree that, we're in this industry, it's an escape for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and go back through that curtain and you're back to your problems. But for that 15, 20 minutes when you're out there, nothing else matters, and just enjoying, entertaining that crowd and feeding off that energy.
Yeah, and you're building a great fan base too, and you're becoming respected because you're conditioned. You're not going out there with show muscles and just saying, "Oh, I'm a physique." You've got the cardio on point, I can see, and you're putting all that effort in. In terms of fueling that, there's loads of aspects of being a busy wrestler, but in terms of fuel and staying lean, how often do you eat a day, and what are your kind of rules about eating, if any?
I try and eat at least 4 good meals a day. Years ago, again, misconception, I would be reading, Muscle and Fitness or whatever, or Flex magazine back in the day, and you're seeing Jay Cutler or whatever, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I've got to eat 6 meals a day, crazy high protein, to try and be Mr. Olympia. Do you know what I mean? But I personally don't have the biggest appetite, if I'm honest. So as long as I'm trying to hit my protein target, for me, it's hitting the protein to try and build a muscle. And then, like I say, I kind of just check myself in. I do with clients weekly check-ins, but I look at myself each week and I think, okay, how's my conditioning? How am I looking? Am I getting bigger? Am I maybe putting on a little bit of body fat? And that's when I know how to tweak things, obviously, through years of being a trainer. But for me, it's just hitting the protein, getting that food in. When I know I'm out wrestling as well, I know I can take in a little bit more calories because I'm going to be burning that off, because wrestling is crazy cardio. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, I'm 32 now as well. So my training has changed a little bit. My mid-20s, early 20s, it was all just bodybuilding, bodybuilding, bodybuilding. And I actually didn't do as much cardio, really, because I was afraid of burning into the muscle that I was trying to build. But obviously I've got a bit older now. So I would say I'm only really lifting heavy weights, for hypertrophy, probably 4 or 5 days a week at the moment. And then it's at least 2 or 3 days or sessions where I'm doing almost like a higher rocks or CrossFit kind of workout for my strength and conditioning. And it's the closest thing that I can get myself to emulate what it's like being in the ring, because I might be doing crazy mad burpees and squat jumps and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm on the treadmill doing sprints. So I hold myself to that standard. I knew I was going to get back wrestling busy again. So I started doing those sort of workouts and those sort of classes. I coach at a place as well in Manchester called Tribe, where you're literally on the treadmills, then you're on the floor doing weights, then you're doing burpees, and you're on the assault bike. And it's a hardcore class, and I teach there on a Saturday. But I also make myself go there 2 or 3 times a week for my own fitness and my own training. And I'm drenched by the end of it. But I've noticed then during this run of shows the past month that my cardio is on point. I don't get out of breath. I'm still drenched in the ring, sweating, but I can go for 20, 30 minutes and I don't feel out of breath. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
again, let's turn it up. And, I kind of weirdly enjoy burpees in a way, but there still comes a level where you're like, okay, this is killing me. And again, it's about that mental switch where I'll be on the assault bike, knowing that I've got to burn a certain amount of calories in a certain time, and I lock into thinking, okay, I'm going to be out in my wrestling gear tomorrow night. How do I want to show up? So I think just as life in general, it's about accountability. I'm huge on it. Like, don't look for the blame. Don't look for the easy excuses. At the end of the day, you've got to look at yourself and say, what am I or what am I not doing that is holding me back from getting to where I want to be? And it's hard. Not many people want to look in the mirror and go, do you know what? I'm not doing enough, or I'm phoning it in, or I'm being lazy, or I could be doing more. It is hard to look at yourself. I say to clients, it's not easy when you've had years and years and years of bad habits to then all of a sudden try and change that. But it's about not focusing so much about the end goal. Like, have your big end goal, but then it's about those baby steps that are going to all eventually add up. I mean, I think people start trying to work towards their progress, and when they don't reach their goal, they just phone it in and go, "Oh, I can't do it. I've tried." And it's like, no, you're just focusing too much on the end goal. Focus on what you can do today, and just habit stack that, and then over time and consistency, you're eventually going to get there. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. There'll be a lot of people listening who will kind of resonate with a lot of that, because it, as you say, none of us are perfect, but we all know that we
no,
could probably do that little bit
and
more.
you're only human. Like, you know, if you try to stick to a diet, you're going to slip up on it. Probably you're going to have a bad day or an argument with your spouse or whatever, and you're going to go binge eat, or you're going to have to stay longer at work and go to your food shop, and because your blood sugar level is low, you're hungry, you're going to end up buying a load of stuff that you probably shouldn't have bought, and now it's in your cupboards. And do you know what I mean? Like, so you're only human, but it's again going, okay, I slipped up today, back on track tomorrow, and not letting one day become 2-3 days and eventually a whole bad week. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I can't stress it enough. Accountability is so important.
Yeah.
Just holding yourself to, and just at the end of every day, almost doing a little self audit. Okay, what did I do good today? How can I improve tomorrow? What did I slip up on? How can I make sure that's not going to happen again? How can I make sure I put procedures or precautions in place to stop stuff from happening again? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You make total sense. And you don't have to do a lot to make a change. You just make those slight little wins. I mean, you're crazy for liking burpees, by the way. I'm going to have to take that one away.
Yeah. What's good about this class though is I have a heart rate monitor on, and your name's up on the screen, and you're competing against everyone in the class. So because I coach there, I'm like, I need to be at the top standard. Because if I'm going to be, if Saturday morning you come to my class and I'm telling you to go, you need to at least know that I do it. Otherwise, you're going to go, well, I've seen you in classes and you kind of don't push yourself. So why, do you know what I mean? So I make sure I'm at the top of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because I believe in setting by example. Like, if I'm going to coach people or train people, I need to hold myself to certain standards, because who am I then to tell someone that you should be really doing this if I'm not doing it myself?
Yeah. Well, listen, it sounds like you are in kind of tip-top shape. You've got everything on point. I mean, I must ask what you do for recovery when you do get a bit of time. How do you like to spend your recovery time?
I used to have an ice bath when I lived in Belfast, if I'm honest. And I used to get out and do it every morning. And again, more for the mental challenge. Like, at the start of the day, I'd done something that I didn't want to do, and then it set me up for the day. But I kind of, I do recommend taking a rest day. If you are sore, a rest day is okay. But then I would try and do some sort of other cardio, like whether it's just going for a walk or getting outdoors. I don't really like not training. Do you know what I mean? So if I'm not lifting weights, I'll try and go do some sort of cardio, even if it's like a swim or something. But downtime for me is just listening to good podcasts, mindset stuff. As I've got older, I never thought I would read books in my life. I hated school. But again, once I found mindset books and about self-development stuff, now I actually read, and I love reading. And just kind of, yeah, as I'm getting older, I'm a bit much. I want to start doing hikes and things as well. You know, now I'm living in England again. I want to go to do these mad hikes and things. And so, to answer your question, I don't really rest that much, if I'm honest. But I mean, I feel like massages are good, obviously, deep tissue and stuff like that. But to be fair, because of how I train, I've never really had an injury, and I'm never really crazy sore, if I'm honest. So I think that I put that down to how well I train. And also getting your good sleep. Sleep is very important.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to. Yeah, I was going to kind of end on sleep, because when we're in our 20s, we don't really think about sleep, do we? And then as we start to get into the 30s, it's on our mind. And then when you get to me and you're in your 40s, I'm not a good sleeper, but I know how important it is. Now, when you're trying to wrestle every day, you've got to make that sacrifice or that investment in yourself, haven't you? Are you a good sleeper?
Yeah, do you know what? To be fair, I usually, as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm out cold. And weirdly, I don't drink. Like, I can't remember the last time I had a drink. And some people are like, oh, it's because you're not sleeping deep enough. But I know I'm sleeping well, because I don't wake up feeling like, oh, I didn't sleep enough. So I don't know, maybe it's just weird. Maybe I'm having such crazy mad dreams. I just don't remember them. But I do sleep well. I do try and get at least 7 hours a night, at least. I mean, 6 is at a minimum. Some days I can't, like the other day, I was resting. And I do realize, like, for example, I didn't train yesterday because I knew the session probably wouldn't be worth it because I knew I was tired. My eating had been a little bit off because I was on the road. I was straight into work yesterday. So now it's up to me to get back on track today, I mean, and the rest of the week. So I think as well as that's important is like listen to your body. If you know that you've had a crazy day or something really stressful going on, the workout probably would release some good endorphins. But if you're trying to make muscle and trying to, improve your physique, maybe you're better just resting and going, you know what, today's a write-off. Maybe I can just get out and do some cardio or listen to some good motivational stuff and get my mindset ready, meal prep so that I'm ready for tomorrow and then just hit it again tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So I think everyone's situation is different. But yesterday, for example, I was kind of like, I could train, but I don't really feel like I get the full effectiveness from the workout. So now I'm locked. My food's been back on point today and I'm ready to go again today.
Yeah, no, it's so good to. I can tell you're fired up, and I can tell you're motivated
I love
about.
talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I do as well, and I'm a proper geek for when people love to talk about it, and I can tell you do. And I suppose we should just end on the WS shows. I imagine for you, that's a big one on your calendar that's coming up. It's going to be another chance for people to see what you do. Are you a goal setter, and what goals are you setting yourself for WOS and beyond that?
You know what? So like goal setting is tough in the wrestling industry, as you know, because the industry is always changing. What certain companies are looking for can change overnight. So I think, I was very close to signing with WWE a couple of years ago and all that fell through. And I still think about it every day, if I'm honest, because I could have been there. Part of in my mind, I should have been there. I deserve to be there. How I look, the progress I've made, how I would improve if I was in WWE and NXT in their developmental system as well, being able to train every day. So I know I should be there. I know I would be an asset to that company or any company, but I'm excited about WS because I don't think it got the chance it deserved the last time. Do you know what I mean? We did the TV shows, it was going well. We did the live tours, which were sold out, like I said. People were loving those live tours, and then nothing happened from it. So I'm excited to get back involved with everybody and really make the best product that we can and show people like there is a space for this in the wrestling industry. Do you know what I mean? Yes, you've got your big mainstream companies, but it's got the traction and it can get the fan base behind it. And I truly believe everyone is really motivated this time to make, the best situation we can from it. And, who knows? But I think everyone there is going in with like a bit of a chip on their shoulder to be like, you know what, it didn't last before, but this time let's make a statement and show that it's such a good product. It's going to be really well edited, hopefully this time. I know there was people that didn't really like the editing a couple of years ago, but hopefully they've sorted that out and, just got to go and enjoy it. And like I say, it's a good opportunity for me again to show how I look and what I can do and see what happens.
Yeah, well, you can only do what you could do. Lots of cliches. I mean, what's for you is for you. So as you train, what's supposed to happen is you can only control your side of things.
Yeah.
And that other one that I get told all the time, enjoy the journey and don't focus on the destination.
You'll
Yeah,
you'll you'll learn more during the journey than you actually will arrive in that destination. And like
yeah,
even podcasts, like people say when they make a certain amount of money, they actually don't feel that much different. So I mean, so it's about all the setbacks, it's about the struggles. That's what actually builds your character. That's what builds your mental resilience. That's what teaches you about really who you are. If life was easy and you got everything first time, you wouldn't appreciate it. You take it for granted, and you wouldn't have that like grit and that toughness. Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of financially, when I look at my bank account, I'm not happy that I didn't make WWE at the time, but I don't think I would be the same man that I am now if I'd have got it a couple of years ago because I haven't had to look at myself in the mirror and go back to the drawing board and go, okay, right, what now? What can I do? What can I be doing in the meantime while I'm not wrestling or I'm not wrestling full time? And it's helped me obviously get back into PT and helping people, and I'm just a better man for it. So I hopefully believe that it's going to come at a good time. This WS, physically, I'm at my best. Mentally, I'm at my best. And in the ring, I'm at my best as well. So I'm ready to go out there and show that that's where I belong.
awesome. Well, I'm guaranteed that there'll be eyes on you, wherever you are, and just keep doing what you're doing. You look great. You're wrestling great. Your cardio is great. You're setting a great example for British wrestling internationally, which is brilliant. We're excited about the WOS shows, and just keep enjoying those burpees.
Thank you, mate. I will. I'll be doing some tonight.
Thanks. Cheers.
But thank you for your time, mate. Thank you.
No worries.